Hello and welcome back to the Level Cap Podcast, your podcast for Level 99 Games news, video games we've played, character of the week, as well as questions.
Hello.
I'm
Welcome
your
back
host.
for episode 7.
Yes. And I am your host, Marco DeSantos, and with me is my mundane regular co-host, Brad Dalton Jr.
You know, I don't know that we'll ever get this quite right.
Why? What's wrong with it this time? See,
I don't know. Now I just feel very unspecial.
Oh,
you know?
But I call you special, and then you.
But no, you said I was unspecial. You said mundane and ordinary.
Yeah, because I would always call you amazing or wonderful, and you'd be like, nah.
Yeah, but that's too much. Like, can I just be like just slightly special?
Good, good, Brad Dalton.
The slightly special. Yeah, the decent, but not too, overwhelming Brad Dalton or something like that. You know.
Okay.
Just a little above average is what I
And with me is my co-host B.
Not
Brad
what I aim
Dalton
for,
Jr.
but how I like to be perceived.
You're a B. You're not an A. You're kind of a B. you're not.
Well, I try to be an A, but I don't want to let it get to my head or anything. You know.
Yeah, I think you're an A.
I mean, strive to be spectacular, but don't make it too public.
Oh, that's fair, because then you just come off as a trius. Trius?
Trius.
Ah,
Trius.
My life. Every time
your life.
Every time you tell me about the correct pronunciations of these characters' names,
maybe before you talk about a character, you should get on a podcast with me and get the correct pronunciations, and then go out into the world.
Then what's everybody gonna laugh at in this podcast?
I don't know. We'll come up with something. We'll come up with something every week.
We'll just change all the pronunciations every time. Now it's Hikaru and Hikaru.
Hikaru. I'm actually going on a hike today. I'm heading out to Ghost Ranch this evening.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys can Google that, Ghost Ranch. It's a cool place.
Are there ghosts?
In Mexico, which is where I live. There are no ghosts, but there are a lot of movie film crews apparently. Like if you watch Magnificent Seven, that's filmed at Ghost Ranch.
Oh,
okay. Thor is filmed in Albuquerque. Like Albuquerque is a really big movie town, which a lot of people don't actually realize. But any place that's kind of out in the desert, and you see this kind of range of low range of mountains off in the background. So pretty much any Western you've seen ever is shot in Albuquerque, because they have huge tax breaks for movies. And they have a lot of wilderness right outside of town. That's very easy to access.
So does that mean you've seen people film nearby?
I have not seen people film, but we get casting calls really regularly.
Oh, okay. Have you?
Yeah.
Are you an extra in a movie?
I have never been an extra in the movie. I don't have time for that. I got games to make.
Too busy playing board games, I guess. Making board games, I guess.
Too busy making board games. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to have a wonderful docket this week. Again, I already told you guys what's in this podcast at the start. So if you guys weren't listening, well, I guess you failed your impromptu pop quiz. Can I tell you a story about my day?
Are there ghosts or ranches?
No, but it's weird or stupid, depending on what you define it to be.
Go for it.
So I have these I have these Philips sports headset earphones or something,
Mm-hmm.
and they're these sweat resistant things that have the hooks in your ears so they don't fall out while you're running, and they're pretty expensive. You know, they're $20, $25, and for me that's kind of expensive because I'm not an audiophile. And then
I think I have something like that too.
Yeah, and then I lost them.
Oh,
I lost them.
That's terrible.
Yeah, because I got home and then I was like, where are my earphones? And they're nowhere. So of course, on the way back home, I buy a new set of earphones, and these are $10 sets of earphones. You know, they're Philips too, but they're not that good. And then today, I come to school and I'm about to go home again, and guess what? I can't find my earphones again. So I lost the $10 earphones I just bought, and then I went around the school looking for the new earphones I bought, thinking that the old ones were pretty much stolen by this point. So I went to the school's lost and found, And I was like, hey, have you guys seen like this pair of earphones? They're like, yeah. And they give me my $25 earphones back.
Ah, the nice ones. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
like,
that's nice.
yeah, so essentially, I technically gained $15. Like,
Well, I guess it kind of reminds me. One time we went. We were in England and we were hiking on a hiking trail called Catspells, and we were taking pictures, and the lens cap like fell off of my wife's camera.
Oh no!
And we were looking all over for this, and we couldn't find it, and so we said, "Fine." We just went all the way up to the top of the peak, and then on the way back down, we said, "Well, let's look for it one more time." And we looked around, and then like 30 seconds, we found it on the way back down. So sometimes you just need a little time.
Yeah,
but it was it's very encouraging when you find something that's been lost.
Yeah. Maybe my will to study will come back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of finding things that's been lost, that brings us right to the character of the week.
Oh no! Really? Are we gonna go to
what? You didn't like my segue? That was good.
We're gonna talk about games first. Okay, you know what?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Sorry, hold that segue. We're gonna talk about games first.
So, Brad, what video games have you been? Not video games. I mean, you can talk about board games if you want. What games have you been playing recently?
Well, I'll do one of each. Video games I've been playing Neo.
The Samurai
the
Dark
new,
Souls.
Yeah, hack and slash Samurai Adventure. It's I would say a little easier than Dark Souls, but it's different. Like the combat system is more complex.
Okay.
But in the same token, that lends it to being a easier game. It's a little more forgiving because the combat system is more complex. Like if you died every time you dropped a key charge or something, you would probably die to every enemy in the game. But so it's a little more forgiving, but there's also more going on, so it has to be.
Okay, yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
that's a very interesting design point too, because as you add more mechanics to a game, you do have to take the difficulty curve down, especially in a real-time game, because you're giving the player so much more to process that mistakes are going to be made more commonly and more easily. So in a game like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where there's very simple rules and not a whole lot going on at any given time, you can make it very much about the reflexes of the player. But when you add a lot of technical stuff like stances and the key charge system in Neo,
yeah,
and then like spirits and power ups and stuff like that, like you have a lot of things to think about, and so you have to be a little more forgiving because the player is not going to be able to hold everything in mind at once. At least not till they get a lot more practice. So you have to slow your learning curve quite a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that kind of feeds into Seventh Cross too, because we've been working on more complex versions recently, and I want to prune back the difficulty, at least the complexity of the game a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as board games, I got to play Dale of Merchants 2 yesterday, and that's really fun. I recommend Dale of Merchants to anybody who is thinking of buying it. It's a great little card game. Quite a lot of fun.
Okay, what's it about? You know.
You're a trader. It's got these cute animal traders, and you're like a merchant trader, not a trader. But but you are trading with this market in order to build like sequential sets, and so it's kind of a set collection game, but also kind of a deck builder.
Okay,
it's pretty cool. There's not anything quite like it out there.
Well, let me match that, I guess, with a board game and a video game. For video game, I've been playing Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this it's this strategy stealth game wherein you basically control up to 5 characters at the same time, and each one of them have these different abilities and such. And you basically try to accomplish goals in some sort of essentially sandbox level that the developers put you in. It's really good because you have to basically control all 5 of them at the same time in pseudo real time, because you can pause the game, and you can also set commands for them while it's paused, so you can simultaneously do multiple actions. So it gets really intense. Yeah, it's really fun to see your plan laid out, and each one of them does like a specific thing. You know, one of them's like a fast ninja, so he can throw shuriken. Essentially, it feels like a stealth game. It feels like you're playing Metal Gear or like a Splinter Cell or something.
Sounds a bit like XCOM.
Yeah, it sounds a bit.
The
so
simultaneous team selection, action selection.
Yeah, so it's basically like that. It's like you take Metal Gear, you split Solid Snake into 5 different people and then play it like XCOM. That's essentially what it feels like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. The biggest challenge, of course, is that the levels have like these challenges that tell you, like, finish this entire level without killing anyone and stuff like that. So it like gets really, really hard to finish any of those levels in that way, which I think is the crux of a stealth game most of the time. The fact that you can solve the level in multiple ways makes it really good, and it's really fun. So if you guys are into a stealth game, kind of like XCOM, you might want to check out Shadow Tactics, Blaze of the Shogun. And if we're going to talk about board games, well, technically this is a cheat because I played the digital version of the board game. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, so I've been playing some Star Realms.
Okay, Star Realms is good. Yeah, I enjoy Star Realms. It's not my favorite of the deck builders, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
they do pretty well. Have you tried Epic? It's by the same guys, and it's they're doing the digital version on Kickstarter right now.
Okay, then I have to back it immediately now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So Epic is like what do I say, like Magic the Gathering, but like turned up to 11. Like all the spells are stupidly powerful, and they cost no mana, but you can only play one every turn, and you can play one instant on your opponent's turn. So basically, you play about 2 cards a turn, and it's just ridiculous back and forth.
It's bonkers.
Playing these giant spells.
Okay, now I have to, because I've seen the Kickstarter for it, and I've seen the ads, but I haven't really checked it out. So I'm gonna have to check it out like after this podcast.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed Epic. Epic is it's pretty well done. It's a nice twist on the formula.
Okay, and speaking of Epic, our character of the week.
Speaking of losing things and finding them again, like the thread of our segue.
Yeah,
our character of the week is Xenitia Zook.
It's not Xenitia, it's Xenitia.
Xenitia. Don't get too particular. Xenitia is actually a backer created character, so not my original design.
Okay, yeah.
And first appeared in Argent the Consortium as a supporter. And so the creator of Xenitia asked me if her character could be on the voting roster for at the end of the War Remastered project, and we said yeah, sure, and we put her on there, and people liked her enough to that she eventually became a complete BattleCon character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Xenitia is a Vivimancer, a lot like Hepzibah, so someone who can control life energy. And unlike Hepzibah, who uses it to power all these spells, Xenitia just uses it more directly. Bit of a Dead Man Wonderland kind of character, if you've seen that anime. But can convert, her life force into weapons and and more aggressive spells. But if she gets interrupted in those attacks, then she loses everything.
Oh,
so it's really dangerous. Yeah. And so she has to be careful about how much she draws out and how safe she's going to be during a turn. So a very precision predictive character, not unlike Seth or Octavia, but certainly at a higher difficulty curve than either of them, I'd say.
Yeah, she in the mechanics in the actual BattleCon game, right? So it translates into she basically has to anti-life to get any of her predictions, right?
Yeah. So she predicts by wagering her own life force, and if she's wrong, the consequences can be disastrous.
Wait, can be? You mean they're basically always disastrous?
Well, only if she's if she's wrong and the opponent punishes, right?
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Like if the opponent dashes, it doesn't mean much, right?
Right. Yeah, she's got some city safe plays. Yeah, if she doesn't attack, even whether it hits or not, as long as she's not punished for it, she can recover all that life at the end of the turn.
Yeah.
So she can mitigate a lot of the danger, and whenever she doesn't use that power, she just gets free life by attacking. So if she anti-zero, she can drain life from the opponent effectively.
Yeah. So I think that Xenitia, whatever, is a really interesting character. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like she's a kind of character that's deceiving because the way her cards and her unique ability are designed makes you think, oh, I gotta spend a lot of life or I gotta draw every turn. But most of the time, I feel like it's actually better to just take advantage of that extra life steal that she has and just work on the strength of her powerful styles, because they're mostly +1/+1s in terms of power and priority. And that's
Yeah, she's got a very solid baseline kit, and I think that she is sort of the character that you have to adapt to the opponent. You have to look at how what the opponent is bringing and what their position is, and really play around them, because she has answers to every single situation that can come up. But yeah, playing her effectively requires a lot of heavy thought.
Yeah, a lot of people often think she's just like a worse Hepzibah for that reason, or a worse Seth even. Because
Well, you certainly can't play her like Hepzibah.
oh no, definitely
Hepzibah just
not.
spends life every which way and doesn't even care.
I want to talk about one of my favorite Xenitia things back in the old playtesting days of Fate was when Xenitia didn't have a cap on her draw.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
so in case you guys don't know, Xenitia's unique ability of drawing life force actually caps out at 5, which is why in my battle guides video I often suggested that if you have a hard time against Xenitia, just play someone with absurdly high stats. That way she'll never be able to use any of her cards against you because she caps at 5. And you might be wondering, why did we ever cap her at 5? Like, isn't that just nerfing her immediately? Now, here's the thing, listener, here's the thing. Back then, Xenitia didn't have a cap, and I'm sure Brad probably saw this already. Xenitia has an overdrive finisher that scales damage equal to her draw. Well, at least she used to have such an overdrive finisher. And Xenitia could draw 15 or draw 19. And then
Yeah, she could instant kill you. And I think, but I think that some portion of that, some amount of that, is also just to inform the player a little bit. And we do when we make a character kind of include some of these inherent tips about how to play them. We didn't want the Xenitia player to kill themselves on turn 1, and that was basically a thing that we saw the potential for happening. Was somebody opened up a copy of Fate, they said, "Oh, this character looks cool," and then they went full power attack, draw 19, and then died on turn 1.
yeah,
And they were like, "Well, what kind of game is this?" So, that said, don't ever play Xenitia as your first character, but we didn't want that kind of a throw to be possible.
yeah.
So
The only harder throw you can do is play Voco.
we'll fix that. We'll fix
Yeah,
that soon.
we will fix that. We will fix that. I mean, like, look, here's the thing. I don't think Voco is completely irredeemable. He was based off Danny, the Sinner, right? So
Yeah, he was, and really, like, we've made several alternate costumes for Voco that are completely viable without changing any of his cards.
yes,
It's really just a matter of which one is going to be the final.
But skipping from Voco, you did mention earlier in your earlier segue that speaking of things that are lost, so does this mean Xenitia's lost something?
Yeah. So she her story is kind of around her and her brother. So her father was this kind of, I don't know exactly how to say. I guess the easiest way to say it is evil wizard.
Okay,
Her father was this evil wizard.
nice, nice.
And did all these different experiments on her and her brother, and that's how she got this power.
Oh no, okay.
To manipulate life. And her brother actually died through the course of these trials. And she keeps she has a vial of blood that she keeps on her neck, on a necklace, and that is actually all that remains of her brother. And so she's trying to find a way, or at least all she thinks that remains, but she's trying to find a way to bring him back. And that's the story as I understand it. I might be getting something wrong, and Mariana will have to correct me in the comments.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that's the story as I understand it. But yeah, the that power, that Vivimancy, to the power to control life, is a technology from another world, and it's a magic source from another world, and that world disappeared a long time ago, which is why people who use it are really suspect. Like Hepzibah is kind of in touch with these dark forces, and so is able to use this magic that was thought to be dead. And the fact that Xenitia uses it without any formal training is also really suspect. Like, what was her dad doing? There are 3 people in Indians that use that. There's Xenitia, and there is Hepzibah, and the one person that's really, really good at it is Sarah Malafes, the demon. And those are the only 3 people that are known to use this ability in the storyline.
Oh wow.
And there's some suspicion that Sarah actually brought it from that world that died long ago.
If you guys want to know more about that, you're gonna have to either watch more podcasts or play the VNs or play more games, buy the art book.
Well, the art book doesn't have that storyline either, but we'll reveal more later in time.
Yes. So that's
the story
literally
is forthcoming.
Yes, that's literally your reason to keep listening to the podcast. So let's move on to some 99 questions that aren't actually 99 questions because I don't know.
We'll get to 21 this episode if we're on track.
Wow, we're so close. I mean, like, okay, that's a lie. That's like less than 25%. But like, okay, here's some interesting questions that they're asking, and this time it's weird. It's not actually about board game stuff because it's actually about stuff that I can answer as well. So here, some people from Reddit ask, well, what are your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch, Brad? I guess that applies to me too.
Oh, I'm usually not an early adopter for the new consoles. I mean, I just got my Wii U like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will wait. I mean, I kind of want ARMS, but at the same time, I will probably wait until like whenever the next Smash Brothers comes out to get the new console. That said, I do sometimes get a console early if I have an opportunity to do like a license or something with it. So if I go and talk to Nintendo and they say like, oh yeah, you can make an ARMS fighting game, then yeah, sure, I'll get a Switch immediately. So it might happen sooner than later. We'll see. I don't expect that to happen though, knowing Nintendo.
If any of you know people in Nintendo, you know Brad's secret wish. On my personal end, I think the Nintendo Switch is cool. Again, like you, I'm not really an early adopter of consoles. Like, at this point, I still don't even have a PS4. And that's not just because of financial reasons, because it's like, you know, nothing has really compelled me to get the PS4, except maybe Persona.
PC gaming is pretty good these days.
Yeah, PC gaming is so good. But I'll probably have a PS4 by this May, because you know, by that point, Persona 5 will be out, and I'm like, okay, there's no more compromise. I have to get it.
Very excited for Persona 5.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I've been for about 2 years now.
Oh, if they delay it again, I'm gonna be so mad.
Someday.
Yeah, but I think the Nintendo Switch is pretty interesting. Again, I'm really interested in ARMS as well. Okay, can we make it very clear that when we say ARMS, we're talking about the fighting game on the Nintendo Switch. We're not talking about actual ARMS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Nintendo Switch fighting game ARMS. It's about these boxing characters with stretchy arms.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So I think the Nintendo Switch is going to be cool. All right, let's move on. Next question. The lineup for games for EVO 2017 was released lately. What are your thoughts, and what games would you have or did you vote for as the 9th game? I mean, like, I know, are we really into the fighting game scene? I mean, I know what the last... I know there was an entire debate over which of the 9th game it was going to be, and I think it was like between... Was it between Smash Brothers and something else?
Probably it was probably between like the new Smash and the old Smash. I don't know. Like, dropping Smash Melee from EVO has been a thing that people have talked about for a long time.
Yeah.
For me, I don't follow the EVO too much. I still have yet to go to one. But personally, I don't know. I would have liked to see Under Night get to EVO. That would be pretty cool. But I don't know that it's balanced well enough for EVO, because some characters are... Like, there would only be two or three characters on the screen the entire tournament. But I guess that's not so difficult or different from some of the other tournaments, like King of Fighters, where you see the same, like, 3-man teams rolling around all the time.
Yeah, or Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Well, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you can't tell what's happening on the screen. There's just a bunch of colors and lights. I think they play it by memory. That's all it can be. It's like DDR.
Yeah, I think at that, yeah, because I've seen some streamers play it, and the lag, dude, the lag is disgusting because it's like they press an input and it comes out 2 seconds after. In a fighting game, that's atrocious. But the reason that they perform,
the buffering is a big deal in that game.
Yeah,
and that's anyway. But yeah, I haven't followed Evo as much as I should.
Yeah.
So really, I ought to someday go there. But really, what I'd like to do is have an Evo for tabletop board games. I'd like to do, what's the word? Like an Evo for board and card games. Something where we can get together and play like BattleCon and Yomi and Exceed and Summoner Wars and some of these other like 2 head-to-head non-collectible games.
Mage Wars or something like that.
Yeah, Mage Wars. There's a bunch of others. Like there's actually a large category of these games now that have been created. So it would be great to have an event where we all get together and play those in like tournament style.
That would be really awesome.
One hopes.
Oh, okay, and let's ask the last question. This is interesting. What kind of music do you like? I love this question.
The new Electric Six album, Fresh Blood for Tired Vampires, came out last week. I've been listening to that quite a lot.
Okay.
And then before that, I was listening to the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack, and let me see what else is on my thing. And then I was listening to KMFDM's Rocks, their latest album. So I listened to a good bit of stuff. But yeah, if you guys like music that's a little bit quirky, I'd recommend the Electric Six album. It's pretty fun.
I'll search that when I get the time, maybe after this podcast.
Yeah, they're a fun band.
They're a fun band. Okay, that's
they're a lot of fun. But yeah, it's not too serious.
Okay, I can only imagine. I've recently been listening to a lot of the Megas, which is a Mega Man cover band.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I think like last month, or was it like 3 months ago, they released something called The Belmonts. So it's like the same. It's the same concept, but for Castlevania soundtrack.
For Castlevania.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
I really like the music. So I'm more of like I'm a young kid, so I'm like I like rock alternative music. I listen to the Black Parade, and I listen to I Write Sins Not Tragedies. You could mistake me for an emo kid.
I've listened to a lot of rock and metal and stuff too. I mean, I've got some Halloween on my playlist, and Jorn is pretty cool.
All right. So that pretty much does it for our 99 questions, which aren't really 99 questions. This was an interesting set of questions because none of them are board game related. So I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, indeed. We just need a podcast about our personal lives.
Yeah, they could ask me about tigers. They could ask you about biking in Japan. Does that work?
I guess, yeah. That's a thing I did. I biked occasionally in Japan. Hey, we got to talk about News 99 because I got news this week.
Oh yes, okay. So give us the news, Brad. Lay it on.
Okay,
us.
so the news this week. Now that we're like back in real time. So previously we had been recorded like 2 weeks early in advance of ourselves, but now we are back to real time. So this episode is recorded on February 24th. It'll be airing around the 31st next week. Or around, what's that? In about 4 or 5 days time. It'll be out. So we're back to real time now. The what's the word I'm saying? Millennium Blades is now shipping to just about everybody. The only people that don't have it on the way yet are Canadians. It's still being imported in Canada, but in about a week and a half, that should also happen. So it's just about everywhere in the world now.
Nice.
It's gonna be in stores by the time you hear this podcast. So if you are listening to this and you don't have Millennium Blades yet, go check it out. We are planning some other cool stuff in the future for Millennium Blades, so keep your eyes out for that. And I'll announce some more about that in the coming weeks. Our next Kickstarter project is going to be starting up at the start of March.
Ooh.
And this is going to be Exceed Season 2, featuring the characters of 7th Cross.
Yes.
So check out our website for some updated info about that. But you are going to see new Exceed fighters coming out
Free Lucia.
pretty soon. And they're pretty cool. Gotta say.
I love Lucia so much. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Lucia.
Yeah, Lucia, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her so much. I can't wait for
She's cool. All the characters are pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
all of them are.
The transformation mechanic is a lot of fun. We've been testing this one for a long time, and it's something that we just sit around and play even when we're not testing it. We like the new season that much, so it's really cool.
I should really, I'll opt into this one. I'll buy a lot of this one. I feel like the characters are super compelling, and that's not.
I think you should check it out. Yeah, you should do some analysis on these guys, because these guys are a lot of fun. And we so the key idea for this is that the characters transform between like human and monster forms, and it's kind of just one way, because Exceed is you use your Exceed mode, you transform one way, and that gets you through the rest of the battle. In season 1, the characters were like. You have a +2 when you do this, and then when you exceed, you have a +4.
Yeah.
But Southern Cross is not like that. In this one, your characters have an ability, and when they transform, they get a completely different ability, but that still works with their kit. So you kind of get 2 characters in one, but instead of just powering up midway through the match, you actually change direction completely in the middle of the match, and you get a very different power.
That's awesome.
And then so the characters feel really different as they transform, and when you transform, you really see the tide turn and the game change.
Yeah.
When you do that. So 7th Cross Exceed coming out probably 1 week from when you hear this, or at the end of the week when you hear this. So look out for it. It's gonna be super cool.
Can't wait to see the pledge tiers. Any other news?
That's it for now. Oh yeah, Anansi and the Box of Stories and Tomb Trader are now also out. These are 2 small box games that we've done. Anansi and the Box of Stories is a trick-taking game based on the African Anansim, the spider stories.
Yep.
And it is actually you play tricks on the other players to try and score points. If you're not familiar with trick-taking games, they're like traditional card games where you each throw in a card and the best card wins the trick. But each of the animals has different powers they use to manipulate the trick, and some of the cards in the trick are will come back and bite you, and so you don't always want to be the strongest. You want to kind of control who's strongest each round, so that you can get the best cards for yourself and sabotage the other players as well.
Sounds like there's a lot of strategy involved.
There's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of fun. And then the other one is Tomb Trader, and this is a super quick negotiation game where you and a bunch of friends go into a crumbling tomb, and you find a bunch of loot, and you have to divide up the loot within 1 minute. And if you can't divide it up, and this is real time, if you can't divide it up in time, then you all get crushed and you have to leave. And at the end of the game, whoever acquires the most points worth of loot wins the game. But each of you also have like special objectives that you're trying to fulfill, and those give you bonus points for the amount of loot you acquire. So just because something says, this is worth $3 on the surface, if you might have a goal that makes it worth 5 or 6. So you might be able to swing trades that are not necessarily against you or in your favor.
Okay, that's
not necessarily that don't seem to be in your favor, but in fact are quite in your favor.
Yeah,
that's what I mean to say. Yeah,
you trade a 3 for a 4, but or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or you say well, look, you take this 3 and I'll take, these 3 1s, and it turns out those 1s are actually 2s for you, and you're getting a much better deal than the other player.
Secret goals are always so great when it comes to games like this.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are out and they're in stores now, and you can check them out. And yeah, that's all the news for this week.
And that's all the news for this week, and that's all we have for this episode of the Level Cap podcast. Brad and I would like to thank all of you listeners out there who have been listening to us and enjoying the podcast. Again, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or you want to recommend a character of the week, or maybe you guys want to, give us some feedback, you can tell us at our social media, Reddit, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. Maybe even just comment on this website that you're currently on, whether it be YouTube or our blog site. Whatever you guys want, we will appreciate all of your feedback. Isn't that right, Brad?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's great to read the comments, and it's great to see that people are enjoying the podcast, and we look forward to doing it for you next week. So, yeah, leave us some feedback.
And we'll see you guys again next week.
Happy trails.